Omo, you know, I've been thinking about the way I was brought up and the values that I was brought up with. And here you are, virtually a generation after me, and you have teenage children. In fact, your first daughter is in university, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the way you were brought up, is that the same way you're bringing up your children?
The way I was brought up is what has brought me this far.
Okay.
And most days I like where I'm at. So I'd love to be able to bring up my children like that. But we have certain challenges now that I don't think my parents faced.
And what are those challenges?
Children's rights. The rights of the child. They're a very good thing, you know, but it means that the forms of discipline that I received as a child, I cannot do those things. I have to find other methods. We have distractions. Growing up, television was for children's television was from 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. only, Mondays to Fridays.
Okay.
You know, now you have designated children's channels that they can watch 24 hours.
Right.
You have peer pressure. Peer pressure only used to be in schools, but now you have peer pressure on the phone, on screen. All kinds of messages are being passed through to these children. We have those challenges here, and it's almost like playing by ear, because I don't have anything to fall back on as a memory of, okay, when I did this is what my parents did.
Okay.
Because
okay.
I never had a phone.
Right.
As a child.
Absolutely.
I never had a phone, but now they do.
They do.
So you're competing with the messages from the phones, you're competing with the time with the phones and all of that.
So how do you know then if they can actually withstand this peer pressure? Because, you know, it is said that bad company corrupts good manners.
You may not be able to immediately discern who is good or who is bad, because bad, unless you're talking about things like smoking and hemp use and drug use and all of that. But there are other ways in which people can be very, very bad, you know. So you might find yourself in a circumstance where you have to relate with certain people, but over time, you then find out that they are not good people, and then you must take the steps to move away, unless you want to risk trying to change them. But then that is a risk.
That is a risk.
That is a risk.
Okay. Now, you're trying to change. Do you have what it takes? A teenager, for instance, or a young adult, do they really have what it takes to make that kind of change? And do they also have what it takes to withstand the pressure?
I think it can be two things. One, your upbringing. Wherever it is you're coming from. There's something I say to my children when they leave the house. Remember who you are. Every morning. Remember who you are and what you represent. You know, and they have to have a clear vision of what that is, who they are as people, as human beings, as the name that they carry.
Right. And the kind of family that they come from.
And what, you know, I always say that. So I hope that when they go out, when they're in certain circumstances, they will remember who they are and what they stand for. And I also, once in a while, mention that, remember that when you stand as an Udenta, you are it's not just you. It's you, your father, myself, all our relations. So you cannot do anything that will bring us shame. If you could do that, or if the child remembers that, that is one. And then the only other thing is that could make him step away from a situation like that is God. Because if you listen to the inner voice in you, but that can only happen if you already have a relationship. You know, however it is that relationship is. If you have a relationship, then he will speak to you and tell you, leave this place now. And then you will leave the place.
And that actually comes back again to, a biblical injunction, which is train up a child in the way he should go, and when he
depart from it.
Yes, he will not depart from it.
Yes.
I think it's good advice. I think also it speaks to our identity and probably the way we see ourselves, because I think it's fine what you're saying about, you know, remember who you are, remember the kind of family that you come from, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, I think you have to have a sense of, shall I say, personal accountability and personal identity. Because if you really don't know who you are, I'm not sure that you can really consider who your family is.
How then does a child know who he is, I wonder? Because if you, from like I tell my children, I know you. Like sometimes when they do things and they say, how did you know I was going to do that? I said, because I know you, you know. So, and I also try to make sure that they know themselves.
Right.
It is very, very, one of the greatest things that I think we can do against ourselves is not to be truthful to us, to ourselves
about who we are. Right.
It's a huge mistake, I don't know, misfortune, not to know who you are, not to know your limitations, not to know the things that break you or the things that make you.
Right.
You know? So we owe it to ourselves to develop to know who we are, so that we can develop in the path at which we should.
Yes.
So we need to know who we are and learn our limitations so that we will be guided as to the decisions that we make.
Right. And then at the end of the day, you know, the good manners will become second nature, will become part of us. And wherever we are, we will stand out.